Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of raspberry leaf. Really, really good for you. And it tastes good too. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you stopping by and chatting with me about photo, video, maybe just tech, whatever the case might be. Today is going to be about Adobe. I want to get into something that I heard last week before I went away for a couple of days, and it was about Adobe testing out raising their photography plan from $9.99 to $20, $19.99. Doubling basically the price. Before I get into that, I want to tell you that I spoke about this years back, right around the end of 2013, I believe, beginning of 2014. I was still doing the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current. You can go back to like show 100, 105, somewhere around there, and check it out. And you'll see I spoke about this. We actually both did. About the point that once Adobe can take their software and instead of selling it to you, they're able to rent it to you or lease it to you, their motivation for innovation starts to decline, number one, and the possibility of price hikes to come is pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, once you get the taste of that money that just continuously flows in without you having to do much of anything.
So good and tasty.
It's hard to get that taste out of your mouth. They will never go back to an actual buy me price type of thing. They're not. There's a couple of things that you can buy, like Photoshop elements and stuff like this. But for the most part, you're going to be buying one of their packages, one of their subscription models, their CC, right? One for photo, one that has a few more things, one that has everything. And then there's another one that has, I think it was like $80 some, $82, $83, that basically has everything, including, I think, photos and whatnot stock. A lot of money is paid by you and I to Adobe. Why? Because they're kind of a monopoly, right? A little bit. They've been around forever. They have a really good package, a good system of packages, let's say, a good ecosystem that a lot of creatives use. And for many years, people that are in the creative industry say, well, if you want to collaborate with me, you need to be on Illustrator. You need to be in Photoshop. You need to be using Premiere, whatever the case might be, but you needed to be in that ecosystem to be able to share data between different studios, right? Different creatives to be able to collaborate, okay? Things are changing a little bit. They're changing, I think, for the better. I feel that this new price model, we're not sure if it's going to go through or not, could be a revolution in the creative community, kind of as we know it. Things might turn upside down on their head, and Adobe might not have that monopoly any longer. There's been a lot of packages that I've talked to you guys about in the past. As a matter of fact, just recently with DaVinci Resolve, right? As a direct alternative to Premiere. And I'm definitely looking at it. And once I do get my full version, I'm going to review it. But there is other alternatives that are out there that are doing really, really well today, because people do not want to pay a subscription model. They don't want to pay forever for something. I did this breakdown, like I said, back in 2014, and I showed you exactly how much you pay if you bought, for example, every 2 years or every 3 years, an upgrade, right? Not a new package, but an upgrade. And as it stands now, you're going to be paying more for this subscription continuously than just purchasing prior. See, years ago, when going from, let's say, CS4 to CS4.5 to 5 to 5.5, these half releases, these 0.5 releases were done, let's say, every year. And then the full release, let's say from 5.5 to 6, right? That 5 to 6, that full release would happen every 2 years, sometimes 2.5 years, okay? So we would end up doing upgrades every 2 years, basically. And then there was no reason to get these little half-baked updates, right? The 0.5s were usually a lot of bug fixes and not a lot of innovation, nothing really new. When new things came out, for example, like Content Aware, that came out on full release. all right? Not during half release, if I remember correctly. The bigger things usually hit on full releases. Anyway, so we would just do an update as of then. So if you look at that model of buying, doing the full purchase, and then actually doing an update or an upgrade every 2 years for, let's say, $490 or whatever it was at the time, you would still end up being cheaper back then than it is now with this perpetual update. Some people would say, well, I want to be always up to date, so to me, it is worth it. Other people say, you know what, I have a studio, I'm going to write this cost off anyway, so I don't care what the cost is. It doesn't really matter as much. But a lot of folks out there are now looking at it as being a problem. So I think it was Petapixel last week or so, they saw that Adobe had on their website an increase from $9.99 to $19.99 for the photography plan. And that was just major. That is a 100% price hike.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
So they reached out to him, and what Adobe said, let me quote this. They said, from time to time, we run tests on Adobe.com which cover a range of items, including plan options that may or may not be presented to all visitors at Adobe.com. We are currently running a number of tests on Adobe.com. So what does that mean, guys? Does that mean that Adobe is going to put only to certain people this price hike and see if they take the bait? You know, like we screw this half of people, but not that, just to see if they'll actually do it or not. Let's just put it in there for double. Let's see what happens. I think the blowback that they're getting for this is just a lot. All the creatives were on Twitter just flaming Adobe for it. And when Petapixel reached out, I think Adobe came back and said, you know, the $20 per month for the photography plan is basically not set in stone yet. All right. We don't know that we're going to keep this or not. We're just putting this test out there to see basically how it flies, to see what happens. Well, we know what happened, but the question is, will they keep it going, or they will go back to their $9.99. Now, Petapixel, they said, listen, we suggest to you guys, if you want to continue at the $10 a month, to go in there and renew now for $10 a month, and you can buy up to 3-year subscription. Buy the 3-year subscription if you know you want to keep it. It's a good idea, I guess. It's a good idea. But I just think that it's a lot. It's one thing if you do a price hike of 25%, even 20%, 50% is a lot, but 100% price hike, guys, 100%. You know, I said this, like I said, back in 2013, 2014, 5-6 years ago, I said, you know, Adobe, they're just not going to be innovating very much, and they're going to slowly go up on the price. The innovations, there's been a couple of new kind of cool features that they've put into the package, but a lot of it is bug fixes, all right? Nothing really wow. I tell you, if you are an old Photoshop guy, you'll probably agree with this. Nothing really new has happened since layers. Right? I don't remember what version it was, but when layers came out, that was like, wow, non-destructive, layering on top of things and having all type of niceties with those layers and be able to do a lot of things with it. That was a big thing. And then, of course, we have content aware now and some other things that are like, oh, it's kind of cool. But do you need them? No. Do you need layers? You absolutely do. And that's really it. For the most part, I guarantee you 90% of everything that you do in Photoshop, you would be able to do in a Photoshop version that's 6 years old. Facts. Hashtag facts. That's just the way it is. The same thing with Premiere. Is there anything wow? Not really. Not really. I've seen more creative things or more like innovative things in the DaVinci Resolve recently, huh? Why? Because they don't have this need. They don't have this need to wow you anymore, to upgrade or to buy their software. They don't. Because you're going to keep on shelling out every month, not even think about it. That $10. Or for me, it's $60, or whatever the case might be, whatever your plan is, you're just going to keep on shelling that out and not even think about it. Like, oh, I'm up to date. You know, those upgrades are continuously flowing Everything must be good, right? Everything's good. And that's what they want. They want that person just to be copacetic, right? They just want to just be and say, yes, just go ahead and charge me. It's okay, Adobe, charge me. I do think that doubling of that price has caused some food for thought for a lot of creatives out there and said, I don't know if I want to continue with this anymore. They've gotten so far, they could look back. Let's say they came on, aboard with 2013, 2014, they came online. Now it's 5 years down the road, right? And they've been giving $10, $10, $10, $10, right? And you're looking at what, 120 per year, 240 for 2 years, 480 for 4 years, let's say, right? If you've been there for the full time, you're more than that, like $600. Think about that. $600 you just shelled out for that photography plan of Photoshop and Lightroom. $600. We used to be able to buy that package if we just wanted, for example, Lightroom for like, what was it, $69, $79 or something? Not for Photoshop, but definitely for Lightroom. Some photographers don't need Photoshop, right? They don't need it. They do everything that they need to do in Lightroom, and that is it. So they're paying for it continuously. Like I said, ad nauseum, forever, in perpetuity, for the right to use the software. God forbid you decide to no longer pay that bill. What happens? All those gigs and gigs and gigs of software that's sitting on your computer basically are useless. They don't work anymore, all right? You can't do anything with it. He'll say, it'll be, hey, contact customer service and pay your bill, or you're not going to be able to access your stuff. And that goes into formats. For me, I think it's very important for all creatives to make sure that they have their things that they work on in multiple formats. For example, if you are a photographer and you have those raw files, well, if you are using Lightroom, for example, an older version of Lightroom and not CC, let's say, and you're not subscribed to their package, their subscription, you're no longer going to get raw updates. What that means is if you buy a brand new camera and you try to load those images into Lightroom, guess what it gives you? Nothing. It doesn't understand it, right? Because you do not have that codec to be able to bring it in. You can't interpret that raw file. At that point, what are you going to do? You have to do a round robin and convert everything from your raw over to like a DNG or something, okay? But these are the things you have to be aware of, that if you ever stop paying Adobe, where do you move to? And are the files that you're currently creating compatible with that secondary, tertiary, or alternative piece of software? Very important. So if you are going to cut the cord, let's call it, from Adobe, you better be sure that your work, your projects can move into the new package. And I would do that before cutting that cord, because you want to make sure it's very, very mission critical, right? If not, you're going to lose everything. And you're going to eventually have to pay them to be able to get your data back. All right? So be careful with that, guys. Be careful. So my question to you guys is, do you care that Adobe might be doubling the cost? 100% price hike for the photography package. Do you also believe that if that flies, they're going to do the same thing with their other packages? I do. What are your thoughts on it? And my question is to you, will you continue to pay, or are you going to look for alternatives for their software? Illustrator, Audition, Premiere, Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever, InDesign, whatever it is that you use. Are you going to look for alternatives, or are you going to continue to pay? That is my question to you. For me, I'm going to look at some alternatives. I'm going to pay for right now, but I have a feeling that I'm going to end up dumping them. Not that I need to, but I just think that it's the right thing to do. I know that sounds strange, but I just feel like it's been enough time. I think they've gotten enough money. I'm that guy that has been around way, way, way back when I was paying $1,700 for Adobe. They're sweet, all right? A lot of money. $12.99. I remember one year it was $14.99. I've been paying them a lot of money for many, many, many years. And I don't know if I want to keep doing it because there are really, really good alternatives out there. Do you want me to cover some of those alternatives? If you do, maybe I'll create a playlist and I'll put these alternatives and my opinions on them inside this playlist so that you can go in there and review them. Maybe you guys might like that. Let me know what you want and let me know what you are going to do. Let's have this discussion because I think that it is important. It is very, very important. So, guys, if you enjoy my content, as always, please throw me a big thumbs up. That would be stellar. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you can get all my content when it becomes available. And click the bell icon. I think it's here somewhere, right around here. So when it is available, you will be notified of it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, so you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and I've invented for me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I hope once again you enjoyed. Go have a cup of tea, enjoy, relax, do some photography, and comment. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.